Bonjour gamers! And we're back with another replay of another stupid job, and this time it's Thundera. I mean, obviously, everyone saw it coming, that at some point it's going to happen, and here we are. Played it yesterday, so once again fresh from the press. Matchmaking, as you can see, tier 9, 10, normal matchmaking you see with super ships involved, since they force kinda tier 9s into tier 10 and super ship matchmaking. And we're obviously blessed by the presence of 5 battleships, the United States, the USS Sus. We have 3 DDs and 3 cruisers against us, well, yeah. But in general, this gameplay, or this replay, just goes to show how incredibly dented the logic of Thundera, or Thunder in general, is gameplay-wise. So, what are we going to see here? Well, we're going to see perma-HE spamming Thundera idiot. That is just going to burn down a lot of enemy battleships. So my fire RNG in this game was insanely bad. Could have been way more damage. Are you going to see it later? Could have also been way more damage since the enemy team played very passive in the end. When I could have farmed them and used the teammate as bait. But in general, it's going to be a lot of HE alpha and not actual fire damage. I think the game... I don't have the end screens once again, but I don't think it does really matter. It's like some 3k base game with a fuck ton of damage. It's going to be 360 something. And it's solo in a Thundera. Well, it's kind of the ship you play when you're really triggered, like I was. You just whoop out the insanely... like, let's say the skill machine. Is the only thing you're going to do in this ship, or the only thing you need to do in this ship to get damage. Kind of press your 1 key, keep it pressed, like keep it tapped to your keyboard, and remove the 2 key for most scenarios. Just don't even bother switching, and don't even bother loading AP in most scenarios. Honestly, the HE is just disgustingly stupid. Obviously, situations like this with the Roan, AP would have been better. But who cares, honestly? Who cares? You're just sitting here, you've been chilling, you're going to farm a lot of HE. So, why is Thunder insanely stupid? And why is it still stupid after the nerfs? I mean, Wargaming nerfed it. They nerfed it once with the range. I think that's the only nerf they gave it, right? Should be like that. But yeah, Thunder has been range nerfed to 21.5. Doesn't matter. The ship is insanely regarded. It has 12.3 kilometers of conceal. It has cruiser rudder shift, and the acceleration with prop mod and especially brisk when you're dark is just disgusting on every level. You can pretty much speed duke battleship shells when you're full speed. They shoot you, you just immediately slow down and turn away or turn in, and the enemy battleship salvo, if you aimed correctly, is just gonna miss you immediately. Specifically because battleships obviously believe and think that you're a battleship, so they kinda wouldn't expect these steep and heavy turn-ins or turn-outs with an insane slowdown time. Well, the Roan just, I don't know, displaced a great level of skill and got death struck by Fletcher Torps. This is obviously patch day gameplay, like the Sherman replay, all happened on patch day. Here I noticed, fuck, I had AP loaded, that's not the right ammo. Definitely not. Instantly switch back to HE. Interestingly enough, the range nerf isn't that big of a problem in Thundera. It just means you can't fap on battleships at 23 km anymore when they are stationary and bow in. But in general, it doesn't really matter. Your concealment and the addition of brisk allow you to be so fast and sneaky on the flanks or towards the enemy, and also just go dark and run away, that even though you have 32mm plating and a very low HP pool, doesn't matter. It pretty much handles like a cruiser. It has cruiser concealment, better concealment than most cruisers actually, especially the heavy ones. Yeah, you can spec fire prevention, the cruisers can't. So in general, the only thing you're scared of is probably an Conqueror. Because Conqueror, if you HE spam each other, the Conqueror has a super heal, which is obviously more valuable if you're HE spamming each other at range. Conqueror also outranges you now, but Conqueror has shit dispersion at range, so kind of a trade-off there. But in general, he's just gonna out-heal your damage in most scenarios, unless he's not playing fire prevention. Then you can probably burn him down immediately with good RNG. But yeah, the other ship that you would have to care in Thunderer is a Yamato that is pretty much max range of you and has good aim. Because he overmatches your entire ship, he can definitely fuck you up for good in a few salvos and you have to disengage. But who cares? Like, not every game is going to be a Yamato, and not every Yamato is going to specifically focus you out. Also because they can't. And if they have shit RNG or their aim is pretty off, then obviously Thunderer with HE just does way more damage over time. This is also disregards the angle. Nonetheless, I mean, you don't have 32mm overmatch, but you have your funny HE rounds, so the premium ammunition of the Royal Navy. I don't know why they nerf Thunderer in terms of range. I don't know why they don't nerf the reload. I don't know why they won't nerf the heal. For example, take away a heal, or finally make it a normal cooldown. Because Thunderer has improved heal, it heals more citadel damage, more pen damage, and it also comes off cooldown quicker. It's like 60 seconds instead of the 1 minute 30 on normal battleships, I think. So yeah, what am I doing here? I'm pretty much just triggered from the games before, and I'm going to specifically hump and focus out enemy battleships with my very balanced HE alpha and fire chance. But I already said the fire chance in this game is actually a bit crooked for me. I'm getting a lot of hits. I mean, now I got a double perma on the Preußen, which was pretty good. But in general, I tend to get a lot of salvos where I get 4 or 5 hits and no fire, which is kinda not how Thunderer should work or works in general. Because Thunderer normally has very high chance of an assured fire if you had like 3 shells. So 4 or 5 shells is pretty much always a fire. In very rare situations you're not getting it. Then again, Thunderer also has if the need arises, because some enemy is insanely dented, because he always shows you broadside the entire time. Or you manage to get into a very cracked flank position because of your concealment and brisk, you could still switch to AP in Thunderer and smash people. The Dispersion is the best, or one of the best in World of Warships, and the AP has a normal fuse. Not the Conqueror or British AP that fuses quicker and has therefore kind of less pen. It won't Citadel spaced armor as reliable, it also won't Citadel battleships at range, the Conqueror, I mean. But Thunderer can. Thunderer can pretty much Citadel smash every battleship, apart from maybe Kreml, at max range. Easy mode if they show broadside, especially Monty, Ohio, Conquerors, Thunderers in the enemy team. Can 30, 40, 50k them at range, easy mode. The Dispersion also allows for it to be very consistent if the people show you broadside. What do we have here? We already have 120k. I've suffered a bit of damage here. The SAP of the Colombo obviously hurts. Also 8 torps. Thankfully my DDs are actually sussed out the Benham finally and are taking over the flank. But my position that I'm in here, because the DD is now finally dead on the flank, is actually cracked as hell. I can just sit behind the island, lob shells the entire time, and I'm even unspotted. So I'm just gonna sit here for the next 5 to 10 minutes and farm my damage. I can also somehow clear this fat island in front of me, as you can see. Look, I can just shoot above it, which is wicked. So this man DCP'd, and look at this, 4 shells, no fire. It's just sad, it's just sad. I mean, could have been 400, 450k for sure. It's the most triggering part about that replay, that I had pretty shit fire RNG, could have been way better. And also the enemy team, you will see I get a lot of damage here. The enemy carrier is going to die to me because he's turning in front of me and it's a USS sus. But could have been way more damage if the remaining enemy ships actually pushed into us. But you will see that I have to pretty much kill myself for a bit more damage in the end, and it barely ends up as a win. I also make the cardinal, or I also do the cardinal sin of loading AP later on for like 1 or 2 salvos, and it does 0 damage. Should have just kept my funny rounds loaded. So yeah, why is I mean, we already talked about it. The concealment allows you to go dark. It will pretty much. You can dodge shells. Your heal comes off cooldown quicker. You have ammunition that does save damage and has an insane fire chance. Your dispersion is one of the best, if not the best, on a battleship on tier 10. I don't know, I think it competes with Yamato leg mod, and it's just disgusting. Look, I can still lob the island here. It's kind of wicked. I'm not gonna get a fire here though, I think. But that doesn't matter because there we have him, the USS Sus. The USS Sus, and we're going to smash him now. Going to be insanely enjoyable to watch. The tier 11 super carrier going to die in like 2 or 3 salvos to me. Obviously I overmatch his entire ship, and if he shows broadside, I mean he doesn't have to show broadside for me to get citadels, but if he shows broadside that obviously helps out a lot. So here we go. USS Sus has been targeted, and keep in mind the USS Sus is so slow and so fat and sluggish. If they commit for a turn manually or through autopilot, we're probably gonna be able to squeeze out like 3 salvos in a Thunder and 2 salvos on a 30-second reload battleship. Yeah, which actually brings me to the next thing I forgot about, the insanely stupid reload of that ship. I mean, it gets 30mm overmatch, it gets an all-penning HE ammunition with insane alpha, but it also reloads in 21 or 22 seconds base, and then you can get it even lower with adrenaline rush. So once again, we could ask ourselves the question if Wargaming is actually playing their game, because it doesn't really look like it. This ship is clearly one of the most consistent BBs, and the only drawback on paper is the thin armor and low HP pool, which Wargaming interestingly enough they gave enough tools to the ship to work around it with the concealment. So yeah, wicked gameplay and wicked balancing by Wargaming here. So yeah, what was the range before? 24.5. I never played Thunderer when it was released. I only played it because I was triggered in the Deadeye meta. Everyone was camping in the back. There were like 5 or 6 BBs every game because everyone was wanking to Deadeye in its battleship. Lots of Yamatos, a fuck ton of Conquerors and Thunderers. You pretty much had a short 3 Conqueror Thunderers per team per game. So yeah, I whooped out the Thunderer and the Deadeye meta when it was still unnerved in terms of range. I played it or spammed it with Deadeye the entire fucking time, and I actually managed to get, what was it, 206k average damage in 80 games, which just goes to show how dumb that ship is, honestly. I also have the slight suspicion, I don't know, maybe someone will data mine it, someone will maybe have a look into it. Since vertical dispersion or max vertical dispersion is linked to your max range but doesn't scale, it's very obvious, or people figured out, that if you increase your range, obviously buff your vertical dispersion. Because if you have a 100-meter vertical dispersion on 20 kilometers and you buff your range to 25 kilometers, let's say, it still stays 100 meters vertical max dispersion on 25 kilometers, and it scales down to 20 kilometers being lower than the original 100-meter max vertical dispersion. So that's why range mods and also spotter planes increase your vertical dispersion. It's not noticeable, or like it's not insanely noticeable on most ships. It's really noticeable on the dispersion curve of Napoli and Petro. But as said, I have the slight suspicion that when they nerfed the Thunderer max range, they actually scaled down the max vertical dispersion. The dispersion I've been getting without Deadeye on a Thunderer consistently, even though it has less range, 3 kilometers less range I think, is still the same as before. It didn't change at all, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, it's a premium ship. Wargaming sees it as a selling point for obviously Christmas crates and loot crates, because it's like a rare ship that's completely broken, especially for randoms, but also for competitive. You would see a lot of Thunderers in COTS or something if it would be allowed, since it's just a insanely reliable source of damage over range. And you probably can't, or you can't stay spotted for long in an angle that the Thunderer can shoot you at, just because it doesn't matter what angle you give, he just damages you. But, oh, well, here you can see it, just like, I never loaded AP for that man, and he just died to fires and HE spam, doesn't matter, because I'm so low, my reload is just insanely regarded. We can have a quick look maybe. It's below 20 seconds. It's like 90 seconds with Adrenaline Rush at this point. Sadly, it's my second account, so I don't have Cunningham on that. I would definitely advise everyone to put Cunningham on Conqueror and Thunderer if you are as disgusted as me from the matchmaking actually playing those ships. I mean, Conqueror is just too dumbed down. It's like completely risk-free and perma HE at range, and your AP can't really smash cruisers at range. But with Thunderer, you can at least smash dumb cruisers, and you kind of have to be a bit more careful about your positioning, just because you don't have the super heal. So more ships can kind of immediately fuck you if you position unfavorably, let's say. Though you heal more torp damage than a conk heal, I think. So, what the fuck? Um, so yeah, if you play the ship, I would definitely advise you to play Cunningham on it because of the Witherer proc. Gives you 10% less reload on top of everything, so I would be at round about 17 seconds with a Thunderer. Keep in mind, a battleship that overmatches 30mm and has one of the best dispersions, having 17 seconds, that's like base cruiser reload of some heavy cruisers, but it's on main battleship guns that have way more alpha, penetration, and also fire chance with the HE. So, I don't know. As said in the Sherman replay, I don't think Wargaming actually balances those captains around ships like Thunderer, or in terms of Halsey with Sherman. This is a very unfortunate salvo, by the way. He slows down, but then again, everything lands short. It's the classic island incident. There are no aiming bugs in the game. I have the feeling, or have the slight suspicion, that it got way worse yesterday because they kind of reintroduced, or they want to reintroduce subs, and this island, or this shells falling short bug, is only in the game because of submarines, I think. Because when they introduced them, it started. It's because they probably introduced a lower auto aim vertical, like vertical area, whatever you want to call it. So you can now aim, or the auto aim now knows another step below the actual ship, which is when the submarine dives, it's below water, so the auto aim has to adjust. And I think that's kind of the reason why you get those stupid. There you go, 4 shells on fire. Otherwise, I could have gotten 400k here. Obviously, you see, like, the cruisers are now running me down because the Georgia is actually baiting me, even though I wanted to bait him, which would also be the smarter choice because I have way more damage, but I don't have a heal anymore. But I can pump out way more damage, so if he just tanks for me with his quick heal and actually helps me out, we could have fucked everyone here, but he just decides to be a dum-dum. Very fun. Here load AP, which I mentioned is the wrong choice. Kearsarge gets a fire, I DCP that, and I get immediately fired up by the others. I mean, look at this. Why did I load AP here? I don't know, but I get like 0 damage, 3 ricochets, 2 overpens. If I had loaded HE, probably still 5 hits for 10k. Yeah, just goes to show, don't load AP in most situations, boys. Just stick to the HE and do the safe damage. Also, if you DCPs the fire, the next salvo could fuck him up. Yeah, but with Cunningham, getting the reload down to obscene levels. As said, you're reaching like Stalingrad levels of reload, and that's on a battleship. Cunningham is a bit more viable on ships like Daring because you get an additional heal. It's also more viable on Conqueror than on Thunderer because of the heal. If you have 2 kills, you get like 1 more consumable. So Daring is obviously the top pick for Cunningham, since you sometimes also proc Witherer. What's the other ship? Goliath is also pretty cool because it only gets 3 heals, so you have 4 heals on Goliath, and you also get Witherer a lot. And Conqueror, obviously, since they reduced it to 4 heals, you get 5, so you will never die to HE ever if you have the Cunningham proc, since you have 5 heals then. Thunderer gets 6 heals, yeah, questionable if you can run through all of them. And yeah, I mean, would have been a lot more disgusting in this game if I could have gotten the 10% less reload. But in the end, it didn't change a lot. I didn't get to shoot people anymore since the Kearsarge played carrier and base. The Lion did the same, I think, but he had no super heal left anyways. We we barely win the game. We needed to force a kill anyway. Quickly going into the captain spec. I don't even know what to say about those ships anymore, honestly. I am not making a script for those videos, just because, I mean, it's very obvious what you have to talk about. The reasons why those ships are broken, like Ragnar, Sherman, Shitro, Thunderer. It's they're in a tier on their own pretty much. Like they're already tier 11, so the super ships, in my opinion, most of them are already tier 12, since they're not only a logical continuation from the tier 10s, they're just straight up 2 tiers above pretty much. They get more DPM, better armor, better everything. But you already on tier 10, you already have ships like Thunderer that are definitely in a league of their own, 1v1ing every cruiser and battleship in the game for free, and having probably the safest source of damage. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing if you disregard carriers. Thunderer probably has the easiest and safest way to deal damage every game. That's also why I play it when I'm triggered. You just load HE and it doesn't matter what comes at you. I had games yesterday where DD's fucked up in front of me, and that's also very fun. If you have HE loaded in your Thunderer and you get to shoot a DD at 3, 4, 5 kilometers, you pretty much one-shot him. It's funny, in my opinion. It's like they never removed AP pens from battleships on DDs, because you just have HE and it does the same damage. But yeah, let's go into the captain. Well, obviously play dispersion. I play prop, always play prop, especially on battleships with low concealment. That you play open water, just adds so much maneuverability to Thunderer. Rudder shift mod can only stretch it again and again. The rudder shift mod on battleships is the most useless shit ever in that slot, because battleships are limited by their turning circle anyway. You're not gonna turn faster. It doesn't matter if your rudder is already shifted, the ship doesn't turn, bruh. It's the same thing as, why would you spec rudder if your ship doesn't move on battleships? It makes no sense to spec rudder there, but whatever. Obviously concealment, and I play main gun. You could make the argument now, to be a very, very scummy piece of shit in World of Warships, you probably should play range mod Thunderer, or you could play range mod Thunderer. It would obviously also improve your dispersion a bit again, and you have more effectiveness, so you can outrange pretty much everything again, or fight at the same distance as a Yamato does. But I play reload just because the reload is, in my opinion, so disgustingly stupid. It's not even funny. 21, 22 base or something. It's dumb. Um, it gets the improved heal, as said, and I now see it has def A. I mostly forget about the def A anyway. You're camping in the back in most scenarios, so the carrier isn't even going for you. Also, I think some carriers are not dropping you just because they know you have def A, even though Thunder def A does nothing, because you have no flak, pretty much. So even though your flak burst, the few that you got, are def A empowered, the carrier has such an easy time dodging them that your def A will never save you from a carrier strike. The captain spec is obviously this is Cunningham, because I took the screenshot on my main account. I don't have Cunningham as set on the second. You take expert loader, then you take brisk and turret traverse. Thunder has pretty shit turret traverse, so it's a very nice skill to have. You're far away anyway. PT is pretty pointless there. Also because you get overmatched by Yamatos anyway. You're mostly angled, or your concealment always allows you to pretty much turn out unspotted and angle and kite away, or turn in unspotted and then run it in. So yeah, no need there. Then adrenaline rush, and then you go for the classic BB build, heal, fire prevention and conceal. On Thunder I would probably, Thunder and Conqueror would probably be the only battleships where I would spec concealment and the heal skill before I go for fire prevention, especially Kong. Kong doesn't really need fire prevention anyways, but there's no other skill that is really useful. Maybe you could play Furious on Kong. That could actually be a thing, since fire damage won't kill you ever. But yeah, this is the box standard BB build. It's finished off by preemptive maintenance, just so you don't lose main turrets that often. Because Thunderer main turrets are shaped very box-like, so you tend to lose them from time to time to a battleship AP salvo. But yeah, that's the box standard BB build. I play it on pretty much every BB. It's the best out there. You have more maneuverability, 10% more speed in base, and for repositioning through brisk. Turret traverse helps in brawling situations if you get there, or also just if you switch sides and kite, like you're kiting to the right and shooting your guns, then you approach the border or an island and you have to turn your guns to the other side, helps there as well. Adrenaline Rush is safe, self-explanatory. Yeah, it's pretty much the Thunderer build. I don't know. Most players have Thunderer. Try it out. Spam HE. Just stick to the HE. Don't switch too much. Sadly, there is no improved gun feeder skill on the British, and I think that's actually intentional by Wargaming, because an improved gun feeder skill like Halsey for ships like Conqueror and especially Thunderer would be hilariously broken. Having a 5-second switch time between ammo types, if loaded, would allow you to smash cruisers left, right, and center while you form BBs with HE. That would be, whoa, that would be actually disgusting. But yeah, this is it for Thunderer. It was 360k in the end. It was like 3.5 base or something. Barely had any kills. It was just straight up farming. Farming. Yeah. Dumb ship for dumb people. And yeah, if the server keeps continuing to annoy me, I will definitely whoop out the Thunderer more often on my second account these days, since I'm just too triggered by how people play, how scummy the gameplay has become from time to time. But yeah, this is it, gamers. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying your HE Thunderer, your Shermans, whatever, and probably catch you the next days. Have fun, stay healthy, and go game.